announcing of the PDP flag bearer. The new schedule is as follows. Abia North Senatorial Zone, Friday, February 3rd, 2023. Abia Central Senatorial Zone, Saturday, February 4th. Abia South Senatorial Zone, Tuesday, February 7th. Deputy Governorship Debate, Tuesday, February 14th. Governorship Debate, Wednesday, February 15th. Participating candidates and political parties are to take note of the new schedule. For inquiries, call 0806 464 8667 or 0806 356 8266. Announcer, organizers, Abia State Election Debate Team.
Keep it locked on. The sound of your city.
Like that show. Let's go. Are you ready to rock with us? 96.5 Rapid FM.
Good morning and welcome to Abia Election Debate 2023. This debate avails all the candidates a fair playing ground to inform the people of their intentions and why they want to be elected. It also gives you, the listener, an opportunity to ask the candidate questions when we throw the phone lines open. Remember that Abia State Election Debate is organized by Abia State Election Debate Team. The debate will be aired across partnering radio station, and it would engage governorship, deputy governorship, senatorial, and House of Representative candidate across partnering radio stations. Now, the 2023 Nigerian Senate election in Abia State will be held on the 25th February 2023 to elect 3 federal senators from Abia State, 1 from each of the states, 3 senatorial districts. The election will coincide with the 2023 presidential election and elections of the House of Representatives.
Well, today's debate is for candidates vying for Abia North Senatorial District. Ambassador Osita Ofo of the African Democratic Congress, Senator Mao Uwabunwa of the People's Democratic Party, and Barrister Carol Okorafo of the All Progressive Grand Alliance.
And just to let you know that this debate will be aired across partnering stations, online platforms and blogs, right here on Rapid 96.5 FM, Flow 94.9 FM, Family Love 99.9 FM, Vision Africa Radio 104.1 FM, Real FM 99.1, Sun 91.3 Iberi, All Facts News TV, Abia Pulse, Infonet Ninja, Candid Reporters, Cassette TV, Prof. J's blog, and The Bridge News Online.
Well, all candidates have 2 minutes to make an opening statement and 3 minutes each to respond to questions. I'm reading out the ground rules now. I would ask you to endeavor to be civil and please do not speak until it's your turn to do so. You will be allowed to ask yourself questions after the first stage, and you will be given the opportunity for rebuttal. Callers, at some point you participate, but kindly focus on the issues raised by the candidates taking part here and now.
Okay, so let's dive deep into the reason we are here today, and I would start with you, Barrister Carol Okorafor.
Her opening statement.
Your opening statement and background. Remember, 2 minutes.
I went to KRC Onitsha.
Come close to your mic, please.
I went to KRC Onitsha and graduated from there in 1966 with grade 1 certificate. I then further went to the University of Nigeria in 1970 and left there in 74 with a BSc honors degree in education. Then I went back some years later to the University of Nigeria Enugu campus and obtained an LLB honors degree and was called to the Nigerian bar in 2000. My working experience spans from teaching immediately after my school certificate exams to teaching at the Queen's College Lagos, working with the sports councils, and retiring finally from Abia. So, since retirement, I've been practicing law and doing business, an entrepreneur. So, I've been a politician since retirement in 2000, tried one or two things, tried to get into elective office once or twice before, didn't quite succeed. But this time around, the APGA gave me their ticket, and I'm working hard to win.
Thank you very much, Barrister Carol. And I would ask the same question to Senator Mao Uhuabunwa.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. Let me use this opportunity to commend you, that is the debate group, for this innovation. It's a little bit novel in Abia State, especially at the senatorial level. You know, I've been there, I've contested, but this is the first time I'm being invited to speak to the people, tell them who I am and what I have in store for them. I think I want to commend you for this wonderful initiative. Keep it up. Well, for me, my name is Senator Maruko Huabunwa. I'm from Atani in Arochukwu Town, Arochukwu Kingdom, and Arochukwu Local Government of Abia North and Abia State. Well, I started as a medical microbiologist, delved into human resource management, and now a chartered politician. I've been privileged to be the first person that represented the Arochukwu Ahafia Federal Constituency. I've also been privileged to lead the House of Representatives and also led the ECOWAS Parliament. After that, I was privileged to represent the people of Abia North in the Senate. Well, was choked out in 2019, and now I'm coming back to take my proper position and represent Abia North properly. But let me state here that it's difficult for me to be here today, because I tell you, I trekked from my house to this place because of the difficulty. First and foremost, I couldn't even get money, cash. And even when the cash came, to get fuel from the filling station was an issue at 500 naira per liter. But thank God that at the end of the day, I'm here and to speak to my people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Mao Uhuabunwa. And I would ask you the same question,
Ambassador Ofor.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Well, I don't think today would have been the best day for you to bring me to your studio, because I lost my uncle, my brother, my political mentor, and I am not supposed to go on a social outing like this, but because of how important it is, so which I wish to also use the opportunity to call for 1 minute silence for Ndido Kereke, who we lost, but we can't question God. But having said that, may His soul rest in perfect peace. And by the special grace of God, we meet again to part no more. My name is Ambassador Dr. Osita Ofor. I'm a professional wrestler. I'm a businessman, and I live in North Carolina, United States of America, and also I live here in Abuja. I live here in Abia State. I also I'm from Umobunihu, Obahon Nato, in Umunoch local government for Abia North. I had my primary school days at Nato Central School. Proceeded to Grand College in Lagos, where I got my O-level certificate. Then Ronick Polytechnic in Lagos as well, where I got my business diploma in business admin. Then I proceeded to United States of America, where I have several diploma in several fields and all that. And I've been actively involved in the politics of nations, which include United States politics. And this is the first time I'm coming out openly like this to contest in Nigeria, because I am from Nigeria, and whatever you achieve outside the country does not really matter. It is what you achieve in your motherland that actually count more. I think basically I have been the fighter that put the Abia State name on the map, which I was the name that was used to rebrand Abia State during the time of Governor Chendo. I think that, I don't know if my 2 minutes has gone, but that's the basic introduction.
17 more seconds.
All right, no, actually, his 2 minutes has been exhausted. Just to reiterate that I'd like you to wear your headset. So if we blend the horn, you find out that you probably have exceeded your time, and you do us a favor by stop talking. I mean, conclude your speech. So if you hear this, one, I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah.
All right. So if you hear that, then you know that you exist. We don't want to start ringing bells, but then we have a timer here. As such, it's imperative that everybody sticks to the time allotted, and let's get to do the needful. All right, so we'll move on now to the questions proper.
Oh yes, I would love to start with you, Barrister Okorafor. Why are you vying for this position, and why at this point in time, Barrister Okorafor?
Yeah.
Please come close to your mic.
I have vowed for this position earlier on in 2007, when I was convinced that what was happening in Abia North was not what I expected. And so I came out to vie for the position, knowing that I can do better. In the first instance, you see, we need to put square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes. When you are talking about making laws and lawmaking, you should ask a lawyer. Because we are trained and we are prepared for that kind of assignment. Since 1999, you find that people who represent us at the Senate has not been lawyers. And that is one of the reasons why maybe we're not getting it quite right. And I think if we change that narrative, things will go better, will be better for Abia North. Again, we've been trying men. All the people we've been sending to the Senate since 1999 had been men. And I leave it for Abia North electorate to say whether these people they're satisfied with what has been happening. Because we keep complaining and complaining and complaining. And yet, we do not want to change. You cannot do the same thing all the time and expect a better result, a different result. It's not done. When you do something and continue doing it, you will always get the same result if you do it the same way. So, having sent men for over 20 years, I think it is time to send a woman. Because we women, we are more attuned with the needs of the people. We are the heart of the family. We know where the things that are needed by all in the family, the men, the children, and all that. And so, we are better positioned. We are in a better position to set things right. You know, Abia North is a family, more or less. So I think a woman will do much, much better than what the men have been doing. They've been trying. There's no doubt about it. You can only give what you have. So, when a woman does...
Thank you very much. Thank you, Barrister Carol. So let me remind everyone seated here today that you would be given time to refute what anybody has said. You'll be given time to ask yourself questions. Just in case you do not agree with what anyone here has said, you will be given time to do all of that. Over to you, Tese.
All right, so let's go on to Senator Mao Uhabunwa. You have been in this position. Can you tell us why you are vying for this position again?
Well, thank you again. First and foremost, let me state clearly that the Senate is the highest legislative body of any democracy in the world. It's not a learning field. It's like let me use football as a point of reference. When you go for World Cup, you send your champion, you send the best hands who must have learned through who grew up from stage 1, 2, 3, and whatever. I'm talking about football. And I know that I started quite early. I started with the House of Representatives, like you've heard. At the time, people didn't believe that democracy was going to endure because we came in 1999. And by the grace of God, we continued, and today, democracy has evolved and is lasting up till this moment. Like I told you, I was in the House of Representatives, so I learned through the ropes. I know what lawmaking is all about. And after that, like I said, I ventured into the Senate. Unfortunately, my stay in the Senate was short-lived. I spent only 3 years thereabout. Maybe you might trust you to know that after my election in 2015 in the Senate, my election was nullified. I came home. Then later, INEC fixed a new date. God saw me through. I went into that election and became again a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2016. And I had a program, I had a vision, having been in the parliament, both within and outside the country, like I've told you about my sojourn in the ECOWAS parliament where I led. So I knew what lawmaking is all about and the expectations of people. So going to the Senate, I didn't allow that interruption to deter me. I hit the ground running immediately. Maybe you check your records, you find out that I sponsored about 13, 14 bills. And out of that 13, 14, 3 actually were passed into law and assented to by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And those bills were dear to me. And I thought that I would have been there to see to its execution. I give you one. Most of the bills that Nigeria is being celebrated today, like the bill on National Center for Disease Control, which gave us the impetus to fight COVID-19, to fight Ebola, and indeed, as I speak, we are still fighting monkeypox. That was my bill, and I'm happy that one of my constituents from Abriba that I sponsored as a staff, is now seconded to World Health Organization. Even well, thank you very much. But I think I'm there to make sure that I complete all I have started. Thank you very much,
Senator Obabunwa. And I would ask you the same question, Ambassador Osita Ofor. I would love to ask you the same question. Why are you vying to represent your people at the Federal House?
Well, when I was doing my introduction, I did not really inform you that in the history of wrestling, there is nobody born, living or dead, that has my record. Because in the whole of Commonwealth, because I'm the only wrestler who have won the Commonwealth Champion of the Champions, Commonwealth Heavyweight Champion by British Wrestling Council, the Universal Promotional Heavyweight Champion, the undisputed and undefeated World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. And then, like wrestling is many billionaires were made out of wrestling, because it's a business that people from all walks of life get involved. And then when I started, there was no wrestling kind of facilities here in Nigeria. But I thank God that I was able to create that enablement. Now today, many people, you can find many Nigerians in wrestling, but in WWE and otherwise. Well, having said that, I'm the executive chairman of several multinationals. And in some of these companies, I'm in fact, I have been the brain behind most of some of these companies. I want to inform you that I'm not going to the Senate because I need popularity or anything. I'm going to the Senate because I want a platform that can enable me to promote laws and then ensure that those laws actually foster rural industrialization. Because with due respect to my distinguished senator, I am not going there to fight the establishment, because they have done their best and they've done what they know how to do. But in my own capacity, I'm going there because I have the contact, I have the international capacity to bring in foreign investors and then those that are willing to invest in Abia North. And then I'm also going there to have, like just what my distinguished said. He said he sponsored 13 bills, 3 was able to succeed. I cannot sponsor 13 bills and only 3 will succeed, because I have the contact and have the capacity to do anything I want to do. If I'm out for anything, I'll follow it to the end. But like I said, they're our founding fathers. We believe they've done their best. But I know that they also have people like us as their children to take over from them. So the world has gone into digitalization. We need people who can connect with the current happening right now so that we can industrialize Abia North, which will enable our people to produce what they consume and then consume what they produce.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Ofor. But let me ask you a question just to follow up to what you said. If you listen to Barrister Caro, she made reference to the fact that all this while we've had men for quite a number of years, and she said it's maybe because the reason we're not having a lot of development or having our lawmakers do what they're supposed to do to represent the people is because maybe they do not have the foundation, the law or foundation from law. And you've made reference to the things you've done being a wrestler. I mean, with what she has said, do you think you fit into the position of representing the people, looking at your background?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like her to understand that the situation we found ourselves right now, we need rugged people. We need fighters. I mean, if I say dogged fighters, that's what we need right now. Yes. Because if we're going to say we want to stabilize insecurity in Abia North, you need to move. If there is somebody in the forest, you need to have the capacity and the gut to move to the forest. If there are anyone that you need to sit down and talk to, even if it is President, Mr. President, say, Mr. President, excuse me, sir, you must listen to me. This is what's going on. If Mr. President, for any reason, refuses to listen to you, you call in the international community. I have done it in the past. I was the one that actually initiated I know you know about when there was so much kidnapping in Abia State. I was one that actually came down from America, and I mobilized all celebrities in Abia. We were all out to move into all the forests, where at the end of the day, our people was able to get some level of amnesty. I was one that the American congressman sent down to Nigeria several years ago. That I went to River State to visit River State government and visit Ateketom. Most of them were living in the bush. I went there. A woman can do that. And I was received by Senator Magnus Abe. Then he was the state secretary to the state government of River State. He received me and my team. And then we fought. At the end of the day, I went back to America, and I was able to make them to... President Jonathan is a living witness. It was my visit to the congressman that enabled the congressman Donald Penn to call the president while he was the vice president of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. You might want to respond to what he just said, that a woman can't do that. Barrister Carol.
Anything a man can do, a woman can do better. He thinks maybe he's talking about feeble women. I am not one. Anything a man can do, Carol Okorafor can do even better. We don't need muscles to be able to get what we want. All we need the diplomacy, which is what a woman is all about. Trust a woman to get whatever she wants. She might not get it fighting, but she will get it through other means. And then I can assure him that I don't have to go to a forest to get peace or to get security in Abia North.
Well, if I may, what he was trying to describe is the fact that, some of these people, criminal elements and people who are restive, talking about restive persons, he mentioned that Teketom, are not your typical city dwellers. They don't stay in urban areas. You find them in the slums, you find them in the bushes, and he was trying to affirm, if you had the guts, if you were willing to take on such, strides, I think that's what you should address.
Okay, I'm a rural woman. I belong to every rural association in Arochukwu, where I come from. In addition, they don't forget that these migrants are children. They have mothers. And we mothers have a way of getting at our children. It doesn't have to be force. I can go to that forest and talk to them the way a mother talks to her children. And they will listen to me. They might even listen to me better than they will listen to him.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much. Let's get into, your knowledge of your senatorial district, Abia North as a whole.
Yes.
You are from Arochukwu. What are some of the basic needs of Ndi Arochukwu? I mean, Arochukwu has been plagued with, I wouldn't want to be the one to start mentioning. I'm certain about the issue of flooding in Uru. I know of, the quakes that has occurred where we've had slides, the earth cross shifting, and, it's various issues. So for you, some underlying problems of people in Abia North.
Good. We have had insecurity in Isu. Our neighbors have been invading us. The people on Akwa Ibom and Cross River, they've been invading Arochukwu. You have just mentioned the problems we have in Uru, the flood issue. There's also some insecurity in Ahafia, which I'm sure you have heard about and you know about. In Umunochi, you know that the Roga community have not been at peace with their landlords, because actually these lands belong to people in Umunochi. They are just dwelling there, but they want to now make the landlords, the owners of the land, more comfortable. These are the issues that one has to address as a senator. And I think one of the ways, particularly with this northern people, or the Droga, is that outside this country, cattle are reared in ranches. It's only here that we find people allowing cows to be messing up people's farms. It's only in Nigeria that we talk about such things. Just like any other animal husbandry, any other venture, any other kind of agricultural planning and involvement. If you want to involve yourself in any kind of agriculture, it has its own ways. You rear sheep, you rear cattle in ranches, not roaming around the whole country and making life uncomfortable for people. We need to address such things by bills, proper laws. And not only making the laws, but making sure that they are implemented. Because one of the problems we have a lot of laws in our law books, but are they being properly implemented? These are issues that I think when you are a lawyer, I keep saying that, when you are a lawyer, you know about lawmaking and law implementation.
Barrister Carol, can you brief us a bit about law enforcement and implementation, what you just mentioned now? Give us an idea how you intend to enforce and perhaps implement some of these laws.
For instance, this particular one that is worrisome for me right now is this Ruga thing. There is no reason why anybody will assent to that kind of law. We should make a law whereby anybody who wants to rear cattle will own a ranch. And we can only give licenses for such people, or give whatever permission we need to give for such people who are rearing them in ranches.
Emphasis on how it has been done, but the emphasis now is on how do you intend to implement this?
Again, as a legislator, whatever I have to do will be through appropriate laws, proposing appropriate laws, because that is the only weapon we have. It is, we make the laws and the executive execute them, and the judiciary ensures that they are kept. So the three arms of government have their rules. So our own is to try and make adequate and proper, appropriate laws, and then get the executive to make sure that they are implemented.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Carol, the lawyer. Senator Mao Habunwa, would want to find out what your knowledge of the people of Abia North is. What are their basic needs? What do your people need?
Yeah, if you don't mind, can I ask you this question? Did you know extend this invitation to the incumbent senator of Abia North? I just want to know.
It was everyone?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he did not. You invited him, but he's not here. Guys, he turned down your invitation.
Oh, we're still expecting him.
No, I'm just saying, you can't expect somebody for a program of 9 o'clock to come after 10 o'clock and it's senator. I don't think you're encouraging us to do the right thing.
Okay.
Because you couldn't have used, you're still expecting a distinguished senator you invited for 9 o'clock and we've started by 10. I mean, if that is the case, then we would have stayed back and come by 11. I have something. You heard him talk about a prominent son of Abia State, my good friend and my leader.
Is that to say you do not want to answer the question?
No, I'm going, but I just want to...
Your time is ticking.
Well, if it is, fine. But where I'm going, when I ask you a question, it shouldn't be my time. But what I'm going is that I thought if he's here, because we're talking about lawmaking, maybe I would have been able to expatiate on the issues of lawmaking. You can see that my brother is talking about his profession. My sister is talking more about his profession. But if I had incumbent senator here, maybe we might gel a little bit in our discussion. But where I'm going is that, you see, we're talking about lawmaking. Abia North, first and foremost, is an agrarian community. And that was why, like I told you earlier, when I went in, I sponsored the bill on National Agri Credit Loan Scheme, which became an act. You've heard about Uncle Grower's scheme and all that.
Program.
The impetus was from that law. And I thought that I would have been in Senate to push for its implementation so that the people of Abia North will benefit from it. You can see today we are not. Then, like she said, today the greatest problem we have in Abia North today is insecurity. That is the greatest thing, because you must be alive first. And you know that the primary function of any government is the protection of life and properties. And if any government to that extent is found wanting in that area, that government is as good as non-existent. So what I'm saying, that part of our problem is that, and that's one of the motivation, what motivated me to say I want to go back, because it's like nobody's speaking for Abia North anymore. As I'm going to Umunochi now, people are calling me, must you go there? Because, and that's where I used to go spend up to 3-4 a.m. and get back. But now you cannot go there easily. People are being kidnapped, people are being maimed, people are being raped. Even at the time, a primate of a serious denomination, Christian denomination, was kidnapped, and you didn't hear it on the floor of the Senate. As I speak today, nobody raised even a point of national importance, and it's unbelievable. So I think I am going there to ensure that the voice of Abia North is once more heard again, because our voice had always been heard. You remember when Ikewachukwu was there, Chukwumerije was there, and the little period of years I spent there. Now our voice is gone. Then
are you saying the incumbent hasn't been doing enough in the representation?
Well, you are now coming back to the question I asked you, because it's good to speak with the people so that the person can respond. Because you cannot, you see, let me tell you that we are talking about effective representation. And effective representation is not merely about infrastructural development. That actually, to a large extent, is the function of the executive. Like she said, there are 3 arms of government. You have the legislature, whose function is to make law. You have the executive, whose function is to execute. You have the judiciary, who should adjudicate when there is a conflict between the parliament and the executive. Because when the parliament has the power of appropriation, and when you appropriate, you oversight, then you push the parliament, like you asked that question about execution, you push the executive to execute what you have done. And when they don't do that, there are constitutional applications and provisions that you will bring to bear. And maybe at that point, if there is conflict, then the judiciary will come in. Like I've talked about.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, please.
Insecurity.
Yes.
If you were in the Senate,
yes,
and these issues of insecurity,
yes,
cropped up,
yes,
became widespread and very difficult to manage,
yes,
as a senator,
yes,
owing to the fact that yes, there is separation of powers,
yes,
how would you've mentioned raising a point of order,
yes,
but then what can you do further in terms of action to ensure that something is being done?
That's what I'm saying. You see, when you raise a point of order, when you sponsor a bill towards that, another function of the parliament is oversight. And in oversight, you have committees saddled with the responsibility. I will put the committee on police restless. I will put the committee on army restless. I'll put the committee on defense restless until they come to my, my constituency to see what is happening. And if that is not done, I will continue. I will even send a petition, because you have powers of petition in the Senate or in the parliament. So these are things you can use to bring the executive to know that people are in their difficulty, and like we are today. But what I'm saying, I talked about, and we talked about, yes, in terms of representation, you can attract projects. You talked about Arochukwu. Let me use Arochukwu. You see that one of our major problems had been road network. And you can see, major road network, not, you can see that the Arochukwu on Hafia Road or the Bende on Hafia Road, which by the grace of God, by my representation, I was able to get that road awarded. First, the first section was awarded for 5.2 billion. Work started in earnest. But after my exit in 2019, go and see what has happened. I wouldn't have said it stopped where since I left, but it's gone bad because weather, everything had affected the road, which now for you to go back with the level of inflation, definitely there will be a review.
Yeah, thank you very much, Senator Sam Ohuabunwa. But just
Mao
Ohuabunwa. But just a quick question, just to follow up. I could remember in your background you made mention of the fact that you have been in the House.
Yes.
And one would expect that whatever you do should reflect in the lives of the people. And you made use of the word that you were choked out. I believe that, the voting power lies with the people. So how come you were choked out if really you represented the people well?
Thank you very much. That's why I didn't use that word without knowing the meaning. I wouldn't have said I was voted. I would have said if democracy was, I would have said I was voted out. But choking out means something wrong happened somewhere. That's why I use the word being choked out. And that's why most of us today are in support of the present Electoral Act, the use of BVAS, which will now bring to bear what we call democracy. You win an election, you see that you are winning based on the people's choice. You lose an election, you know that purely based on the people's rejection. Not when you have won an election, somebody will change it or one thing or the other will happen. So what I'm saying, I was deliberate that to use the word choked out. Right, I didn't quite vote, I wasn't voted out by the people. So
Ultimate Commander, please respond to the question, the needs and areas of your people that you want to represent.
Well, I'm glad that the senator here actually reminded you that some persons that you were supposed to bring into the studio that are not here. But I was sad by your response. Nobody is working under anybody. And then if issues of Abia North is so important or more important, then every one of us should have been here. I consider it to be that the gentleman have something more important to his personality, to his person, that he decided to go and then attend to. That is on that one. Two, I also understood that let me use the language. These are the men that consider themselves the establishment. So they are untouchable. They come to the people, talk to the people when they want to talk to the people. They don't come to the people or talk to the people when the people want them to talk to them. So I just have to apologize on his behalf because it's expected. So my coming into the system is exactly what distinguished have somehow mentioned. The people do no longer need just a senator to go to the Senate to make laws and sit down and wait for the executives to execute. What we are actually looking at right now, the insecurity they are talking about, you cannot continue. That's why if you listen to my jingle, you cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. We want personalities that has the capacity to bring in international donors that could take projects that amount into billions of dollars, that even what they can bring into the rural community may even be much more that which the state government received. I give you an example. In the United Nations, there is an organization called United Nations Organization. They have a project that is ongoing. And then they have some former and serving senators that came together in Europe. And they put some funds together in the tune of billions of dollars, where they have used portion of it in Egypt. They've used portion of it, and I think Ivorian, and then Ghana. The Nigerians' own has not been touched. It was because of they're looking at that personality that has what it takes to actually guide them in terms of creating laws that will enable this kind of investment to go direct into the people. What we are looking for is not just about NDDC giving you one allocation or the other. We've gone beyond that. The people you are talking about right now does not have the capacity to solve our problems. when I say the people, I mean including the executive. So, and that's why you see everyone clamoring for change. When I mean change, positive change. Then
Thank you very much, Ambassador Osita Ofor. And if you just tuned in, this is Abia State election debate organized by Abia State election debate team. And the debate will engage governorship, deputy governorship, senatorial, House of Representative candidate across Abia State and across partnering radio stations.
Of course, this is Rapid 96.5 and other partner radio stations that are distributed, if I had to use this word, include the Flow 94.9 FM, Family Love 99.9 FM, Vision Africa Radio 104.1, Real 99.1 FM, Sun 91.3, Weary, All Facts News TV, IBL Pulse, Infinite Niger, Candid Reporters, Casa TV, Professor J Blogs, the Breed News Online are all airing this particular program. In the studio are Barrister Carol Okorafor of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, Senator Mao Habunwa, People's Democratic Party, and Ambassador Osita for African Democratic Congress. Now we'll move on to another area. Of course, we'll take a moment, but let's take a look at community development. Let's look at some of the antecedents. Let's start off with you, Ambassador. What have you done to end the vote of your people at the community level? What have you contributed to ensure that people will thumbprint for you on the 25th of February?
Well, it's a very good question. I know maybe you did not take your time to do some research about my person.
I'd rather you say them yourself.
Okay. The ultimate commander you talked about today came from a very humble, when I mean humble background, that it takes a lot of strength and energy for someone to even introduce me to Senator Mao Habunwa before he could get used to my name. I tell you something, in my place, we are those people that are considered to be, even the poor people calls us the poor. That is the level of my humble background. I'm not among those that had the opportunity to grow up and they start going to the school. Their problem is just to the child to accept to go to school. In my own case, I come from a place where seeing a student dressing properly is like a miracle to me. So, and they're struggling from that angle, coming up, pulling out the youth, both from the immediate family and extended family and other, pulling them out, moving them to various countries, and trying to make sure they become strong on their own. That I even want some of them to, in fact, some of them are already challenging me in terms of financial capacity now. But when you say you want to build a house, before when you hear about upstairs, people will run out and be wondering, this man that has upstairs must be a billionaire. But right now it's no longer like that. And 40% was through my personal effort to move my people from that shackle of poverty at that level. And having been a child that was, I went through primary school by the help of Methodist Church. In one of the programs, I represented my people, and then I got a scholarship. Even just a few days ago, I just gave a scholarship in Ohafia. So I have been so strong, trying to make sure that people, like the language they normally say, don't teach me how to fish, don't give me the fish, but teach me how to fish. I have been doing that, and the couple of people that when I hear they have issues of housing, stuff like that, even when I don't have my own house, I spend my last card to make sure the person bounce back. And then when you come to what people consider a philanthropist, which I know I consider that being a philanthropist is not enough, but you have to be a humanitarian to actually touch the life of the people. This has been what I am known for. I'm the owner of the Ultimate Resident Charity Foundation. I'm a director of a football academy called. Am I allowed to continue?
Well, we are actually out of time. And I'd like to thank you very much for responding to that question. But it's imperative that we insist that we have a specific time allotted to all the questions. Otherwise, we'll be spending a lot of time here. Distinguished Senator Mao Habun, I'd like to ask you the same question. You have enacted, you've pushed for laws, bills, and all that. Do you think what you've done is enough for your people to vote you again?
I wouldn't use the word enough, but I think I've done something that warrant them taking me back there to continue to do more. Like you've seen, the challenges are there always, but I think I can beat my chest and say that I've impacted positively on my people. Not just as a member of the parliament, but even before I went into the parliament. It might interest you to know that I set up the first diagnostic and reference center in the then Gongola state, which is today Adamawa and Taraba state. And I took a lot of my people there and gave them employment and trained them. After I left Shell, after my little stay in Shell medical department in Port Harcourt. So at every point, I've been a relationship person. I've always wanted to pull my people along. So I started, you might trust also to know that what you call today, in terms of empowerment, skill acquisition, I was the first. I set up the first Mao Huabunwa Foundation for Widows and Less Privileged, which I did in collaboration then with the People's Bank in Ohafia. And so many people were empowered through that process. Market women were given some grants, some interest-free loans. In this state, is known by everybody that even when the state government in 1999 thereabout were giving people a wheelbarrow and what do you call it now, block molding machine, Mao Huabunwa at that time was giving people means of transportation, vehicles, machines, and all that. So I've always been there. And again, like my principle or my motto when I went to the House of Rep was human resource development. In terms of law making, I sponsored the bill on National Assembly Service Commission. When we went to the parliament, we had the executive having the what do you call it now, civil service commission. Then you have the Judicial Service Commission, but we had none on the parliament. I sponsored the bill on National Assembly Service Commission, which gave the National Assembly impetus to employ. And today, go and ask how many people, not just from my constituency, then I was representing Arochukwu Ohafia, not only people from Abia North, I'm not talking of Abia State, indeed the Southeast and Nigeria. I'm talking about impacting the people. And today, if you go, you will know how many, these things I don't say them, but because you asked, because I believe that if God has given me, I have no other option than to give back to the people. You go and check how many widows, how many widowers that have been able to put shelter on their heads, and how many scholarship schemes. These things are normal with me, and they're ongoing. Like God has been faithful. So I don't want to start just because I've been elected person. These are things I've been doing even before being elected.
Thank you very much, Senator Mao Ohuabunwa. And I would love to ask you the same question, Barrister Carol.
Right from childhood, I've always been a person's person. I make friends and I help my friends. By the way, I'm married in Arochukwu. I wasn't born there. I was born in Uli. And I took after my mother because right from day one, my mother helps people. And we learned that from her. And from my hometown in Uli, I've set up some people. But coming to my constituency, I have this NGO that is Save Our Women and Youths, because I find that the typical Arochukwu woman is not treated fairly. And our youths, too, are all not doing well. Most of them do not have things to do. They do not have good education, even though some of them might be responsible for their not having a good education. But you find that there is so much need for help. And I try to do that, either through the church or through my NGO. Because in the church right now, I am the president, I'm the patron for all CWO in Umuahia Diocese. I am also a patron in my parish. I live in Abuja, and in Abuja, because I am a person's person, I am the patron there, and they've given me a title. In Arochukwu, I try to help in the development of that town in one way or the other. I don't have the money, I have not served anywhere, but the little pennies that I save, I built up a warehouse to make life easier. Because in Arochukwu, if you go there at festivals, nothing, you won't find drinks. So I thought that was a community service that I should render to them. Right now, I have a rice mill, which also serves the people. And finally, really,
is it not being paid for to use?
It's being paid for, but it has subsidized rates. Okay. And at least if you get a good, if you don't have to travel too far to have your rice milled. And I run a soup kitchen, what I call a soup kitchen, named after my mother, Rebecca Soup Kitchen. That kitchen cooks once a week. It cooks rice once a week for less privilege. And it's taking round the villages for the very less privileged who could not afford to have a good meal prepared for them. So to the extent of my little available resources, I have tried over the years to help.
Thank you very much, Barrister Carol. Just to ask you a question, there is a reason people make mention of experience.
Yes.
So what would you say about the experience going for the position you're going for now to represent your people? Do you think that you have the experience at this point in time to represent your people?